Now that we've bagged the joints, we're going to finish them or tool them. In this case, we're going to use a flat slicker, a flat iron. Have a wide variety of sizes. The bigger the joint, the bigger the slicker. I'll be using the biggest one I have today. They make them bigger than this, but this is about average for what we would be needing. Right now, this mortar's too wet to joint, but since we're in the training room using lime mortar, it's not going to get where we would want it to be. In a normal job site situation, after we are done bagging the wall, 10, 15 minutes, it's perfectly fine. We're going to struggle a little, but that's okay. You'll get the idea. So what you do is you take your wide part of your iron where you can use it, and you get it into your joints, and you want to smooth them out, recessing your work. You can even cut that out. Whenever it's dry, nice, you can go right across it quickly. Now, as you can see, my jointer is not wide enough for this spot. So what you want to do is hold it at an angle. You want to cover the whole thing. Okay, so when it's time to slick the joint, you're going to fit your jointer in and compress the mortar so you've got a nice tight joint. Run it along and compress all your mortar. Do your horizontals, do your verticals, do them all. Whenever you get into these areas where you're thick and you'll do this, you might get a line. The best way to avoid the line, you could grab a larger slicker, or you could even hold this one on an angle. A lot of times you're just going to turn it to consume the whole area and slick it back. The nice thing about these is they have a thinner part on the end. So as you're coming through, if you hit a spot that's tight, you can always spin it around and use the thin part to get into that tighter area. You want your joint to be recessed of the face consistently throughout the wall. Whenever you're pointing, always have a trowel in your hand with a little bit of mortar. Sometimes there's going to be spots that the bag didn't fill perfectly. You're going to want to put a little bit of mortar on your slicker. We want clean edges on the stone. Cut away any boogers that you have. Make sure your joint's finished nice and smooth with no lines in it. Bend down and look up to see if there are any holes on the underside of the stone. Sometimes there might be a hole in the joint. You can see here if there's a hole, but you can't really see here if there's a hole. So you're gonna have to bend down and look up at your work. Make sure you have a nice seal underneath each stone. Okay, whenever you're brushing the wall, you want a soft bristle brush and you want to go with the joint in this case. Oftentimes, stonework, we don't want it to be a perfectly shiny joint, so the brush marks are an acceptable finish, and they help get rid of the lines. Especially, you'll have difficulties with your lines if at the end of the day your mortar's a little wet and you're brushing it a little too soon, but you really don't have a choice because it's the end of the day and you got to go. Sometimes you can really do a nice finish with a brush. Get rid of some of your imperfections, and if some of your imperfections remain, just go back over them with a tool.